Taoiseach, the mother and baby home regime was organised abuse by church and state of mothers and children. They have been cruelly let down time and time again by the state. The Commission report was an absolute travesty. I said it from the word go, in that it failed to actually take on board the voices in a serious way and give weight to the voices of the survivors, but the leak was an absolute disgrace. Government spin coming before the actual needs of the survivors and their right to see that report before journalists and before everybody else. And 1 year on, are you seriously not just pulling our leg when you're saying you haven't come to a conclusion as to how the leak happened, and somehow it's got tied up in some wider discussion about cabinet confidentiality? That's an absolute insult. It's an insult. So is it going to be just a cover-up of this leak, or are we going to get a conclusion? And can you please also end the further insult of this 6-month arbitrary date for acknowledging the pain and abuse and wrong that was done to everybody who went through the mother and baby home system?
First of all, can I say that the Deputy has suggested that this is a list of broken promises. I want to make it very, very clear here that the action plan that we've outlined, we're going to follow through in every one of them, and are doing it. And people may quibble or disagree with aspects of that, but the more fundamental issues that we've committed to and that survivors wanted action on for many, many years and didn't get, in terms of access to information and tracing, for example, unfettered access. And the legislation we've produced has been groundbreaking in that respect. There's no question about that. And it went through pre-legislative assessment for about 6 months, which is good. It's now gone past second stage. And that is fulfilling a commitment that we've made in this government, but something that has been sought, I'd say, for over a decade, and the previous Oireachtas were not in a position to deliver. And secondly, in terms of the payment scheme itself, the Minister did not depend on the Commission's reports in respect of framing and establishing that payment scheme. In other words, he went beyond it, and he went beyond the recommendations of the report itself. And I think, that will come through the House, that will go into legislation. I have no doubt people are going to come forward with their amendments and their proposals. But again, the Minister will consider those at that particular stage of the bill. And the Burials Institutions Bill, I'm coming back to that, is also evidence. Now, you've said the government isn't committing. I have not interfered in the investigation. The government took that decision at the very beginning in terms of to widen it out, because in the modern era there has been a lot of leaking and so on. And in terms of the comments that I made, they were in respect of, I was asked basic questions in terms of would I be in a position to, or would I be offering an apology. It wasn't the first time I was asked that, in respect of the government's response to the publication of the report itself. And there are wider issues. I'm not responsible for what the Commission and how it did its work. I think it did extensive work and did very comprehensive work, but the Commission would have been established some years ago. The Commission investigation model is the one we have. It may not have been the optimum model for this type of investigation. We did separate ones in respect of the industrial schools and others, and lessons perhaps can be learned from that. I'm not at a position yet, but I certainly hope we can bring it to conclusion as quickly as we can.